All right, guys, welcome in Cubs on Tap live. I am your host, Cody. You can follow me at Cody on Tap on Twitter, and I'm joined by my good friend Juice. You can follow him on Twitter at Juice on Tap. We're here to talk about tonight's Cubs 4-0 loss to the Brewers. Dude, I don't even know how else to really say it. It was just a 4-0 loss. It was bad. I don't even know how to really say anything else. Like, we were just talking literally a minute ago how we don't even know how to talk about this game for 20 minutes, but we're going to try. Before I let you go off, I guess, I want to remind everyone, head on over to On Tap Sportsnet, get all your Chicago sports needs. Follow us at Cubbies on Tap on Twitter. I think I did my best Ron Luce impression. So with that said, Juice, how do you feel after tonight's game, man? Because it was a big woof.
Yeah, the ninth inning was weird, right? I mean, that was excitement. That was something to actually maybe talk about for longer than 3 minutes. I mean, because we could. I don't know if you tweeted off the Cubs on Tap account, but I mean, we could spend 20 minutes talking about Duffy's walk, or
yeah,
I mean, we could, or Dylan Maples, maybe, or I don't know. I mean,
I was trying to find anything positive at all to talk about this game, because that's what I try to do, is try to find positives from games like this, because most people just sit on Twitter and talk about the Cubs offense being trash or whatever, even though the day before they're talking about how they're so back and whatever. And it grinds my gears, because, again, I feel like you got to pick a side. I'll scream that on this podcast forever if I have to. Pick a damn side, all right? But, yeah, I mean, I think you just got to give a lot of credit to Brewers pitching. Like, Peralta, he was I think JD said it, like, he was effectively wild. Like, he walked like 4 or 5 guys, but this isn't the first time the Cubs have seen this guy, and they've not looked good against him. And the reason he looks good against the Cubs is it's a tale as old as time. I feel like, though anything breaking away, I feel like the Cubs can't hit unless they get some, quality at bats out of guys. And tonight was a night that Javi Baez looked like Javi Baez last year. And there's one at bat that I actually really liked from him, but for the most part, he was not good. And I don't know, man. Like I was saying, I guess the only good things from this game tonight was I did think Dylan Maples was good in his 2 innings. I think that's a building block. We've been keep saying. I feel like we've been saying for years, like Dylan Maples could be like a guy in the bullpen, like a potential closer down the road. Most of the bullpen was good overall. I mean, Alzolay's the one who gave up the 4 runs, right? So, I guess the bullpen's probably your strong point. The offense sucked tonight, and I guess Alzolay was pretty disappointing. I mean, 4 strikeouts, 2 of them were against pitchers. I don't know, like, at the same time, he's the 5th starter. So it's not even like you're expecting a ton out of him. You're hoping, you're getting more out of him, but I don't know. I feel like I'm talking a lot, so I'm going to shoot it over to you on your thoughts on everything I just kind of rambled off.
Well, one of the positives is that simp Christian Yelich misplayed a ball out there, so that was kind of nice.
Dude,
fun to see.
I think I don't know what he finished the night, but I think for the series, he was like, at one point he was 1 for 6 with 4 strikeouts.
Yeah, so, not looking too good. Well, I mean, baseball's hard when you don't have somebody else telling you what pitch is coming.
True.
Like Ronnie Brewer or whatever his name is that slides down the slide or whatever. I don't know. Billy Brewer. I don't even know what his name is up there. Who gives a shit? But, I mean, we could sit and talk about, all the boring things or we could talk about, at least the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde offense that this has been since 2019. I mean, it's, last night and the games before, last night me and Ron Luce were talking about manufacturing runs, and I know it's really hard to manufacture runs when you don't have base runners. I think that's a big problem for today, but a lot of the at-bats that we saw today, I thought were just guys trying to do too much, and I think that one thing that the Cubs hitters and I think the organization kind of struggles with a little bit is letting the game come to them. I think that between Javi and Willie and even Chris sometimes, they'll really press and try to make things happen when I think the the game, when that happens in any sport, that's when you start to make mistakes. And that's what happened today a lot. And like you said, effectively wild. I know that Peralta maybe didn't look like he had the best stuff, but they did show a graphic. I don't know if it was in the fourth inning, but he's in like the top 5 for weak contact. So, I mean, this isn't new for him, but it's a matter of like, that's a game that you hope that the Cubs come out and at least make a game. I understand that Milwaukee jumped Alzolay real early. He wasn't comfortable going in. And I think I had mentioned on the podcast last night that a big thing for him was to get through that first inning unscathed, keep the ball in the ballpark, and get your Cubs offense in there to get an early lead. And obviously, tonight
the opposite happened.
Yeah, exactly what I thought was, a possibility did not happen. And he just didn't have his good stuff. I'm not ready to, jump on the kid for one bad outing, but sure. I think the hard part is that like he won that 5th starter so by the skin of his teeth in a lot of ways, and he has a lot of time to develop. But Alec Mills, when he's been asked to do what he's supposed to do this season, he's looked really solid. So what I fear is that the other guys in the rotation perform, and then they don't give this kid a fair shake. When realistically, a lot of things that you need to start looking at is, what are you trying to do this season? Are you trying to build for the future? Or are you trying to win right now? And I think a lot of the guys who are on the roster are in win now mode because maybe this may be one of the last chances that they get. But there's a lot of guys that, are coming up who are in the bullpen or, back end of the rotation or even in the rotation in general who are, pitching for another contract or are just trying to find their way through the MLB season in, one of their earliest years. So it's kind of hard to just – tonight's one of those that, like, you watch as a Cub fan, and me and you won't remember a damn thing that happened in this game.
In a week, I will forget about this game.
Yeah, but, I mean, it's one of those that you look at and maybe when you get in the locker room, David Ross just goes, all right, rip it up, boys. Give them tomorrow. 2 out of 3 is what you want to do.
Throw it into Lake Michigan.
Yeah, but, I mean –
I think Joe Madden said that like 1 year.
Yeah,
like
I thought that was ago. But like looking at like what's gone on with this Cub team in the past as fans and as the ultimate freak out fan base that the Cub fandom is, everybody's going to point at, oh, look, they're dog crap. They, 3 good games, 2 bad. But that's baseball. I mean, things are going to even out over the course of 162. The cream will rise to the crop, and the Cubs will find out where they're at, and we will throughout this journey. So complain about it tonight. Tomorrow, hopefully they can come out tomorrow and rebound and win a ball game, win 2 out of 3.
Right. Yeah, we'll get to tomorrow's game here in a little bit. I do want to point out this comment this guy Joe Balding just sent. Says, I've definitely picked a side for a while. He's referencing to what I said kind of at the beginning where people will blame the offense tonight, but then when the Cubs have a good game, they'll, people be like, oh, extend. And all I'm asking is for people to pick a side, and no one wants to do that. So I'm glad Joe's picking a side. But again, he says, I've definitely picked a side for a while.
That's my Uncle Joe. Oh yeah. Uncle Joe.
Nice. Welcome, Joe. Picked a side for a while. And this offense is boring. Each new season always brings optimism, but this offense is the same. Joe, I totally understand what you're saying, man. It is we haven't even played a full week, so I guess you can say we're in the first week of the season. I think I said on the opening day show that I was like, I was yelling at all the people who were crying about the opening day loss to the Pirates, and I was like, I feel like you could do this at the end of April, but we're on opening day. Are we really going to start saying, fuck this team? Like, I'm done, like on opening day, like, and I think a lot of it just goes back to just, me and you and anyone that we know that's like a diehard, I feel like is, we sign up for 162, man. And like, whatever happens, whatever happens. And I feel like at least whenever the Cubs were bad or like mediocre or whatever, we would at least hope and pray that, maybe May and June we would be like competitive. Like we would always have that hope. Like I have so many friends who used to give me shit about how they were like, oh, well, they'll be out of it by like May or June. And it's like, well, at least I have hope by then. You know what I mean? But like I think like these are the kinds of things that like 2016, like the negatives that 2016 brought was like so many people have high expectations. And I thought the one, like, I don't want to say it's cool or awesome or anything, but like one of the things that like is kind of nice this season is like the Cubs don't really have a lot of expectations. Go look at Vegas. They're like plus 300, plus 400 to just make the playoffs. There aren't a lot of expectations out of this team. And we're starting 3-2, and people are wanting to blow it up now. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. So I think people should take a little perspective in that. That's just me. But I also, at the same time, don't blame people for being pissed off about this game, because at least on opening day, I could use the weather as the reason that we sucked. The weather was great tonight. Like,
this was the ultimate hitting night tonight, right? I mean,
right. Yeah, but I honestly do think it's just the Brewers pitching. And when they got to the bullpen, I wasn't expecting anything to change. The bullpen, the Brewers bullpen is one of the best bullpens in baseball.
It may be the best. It may be the best.
I was shocked that they scored a run off Devin Williams last night. I was like, when that happened, I was like, we're gonna win this game, because if the Brewers eventually move Josh Hader, because they ain't gonna pay him, because they don't pay anyone, because they have to sell fucking tickets at Subway. Like, like Devin Williams is going to be their future closer. So, again, that's last night's game. But the Cubs, they even like tonight's game, they had some walks and they just couldn't manufacture any runs. I think this was the first game where they didn't manufacture runs the way that we've seen the first 4 games. You can't get it every night, but
base
hopefully,
runners, right? I mean, it's a matter of, but this is, going back to Joe's comment, this is what this offense has been. So as a Cub fan, should you be, surprised when you see this performance? No. But with that said too, I think that obviously with the pandemic and the weird year it was and the weird off season, there's not much you could have did short of blowing everything up to restart this whole thing over again. And this is what the offense is going to be. Now, can you win a World Series with that? And that should be the goal every year. I don't think so, because I mean, this is played out over 19 and 20 to show you, that when the chips are really on the table, this team tries to do too much. And that was just like tonight. It was very frustrating. It was much 19 and 20. I can be a fan that's frustrated, but I can also be the fan that's optimistic about the schedule and this team, and a first year under David Ross, and a new year of a lot of guys in contract years who are looking for a deal, and maybe some extra motivation that maybe this is when it clicks. If it doesn't, we'll all be saying we told you so. But until the course of 162 plays out, I don't think anybody can really say that they would be too surprised if they don't hit, or they would be super surprised if they do, because you look at the names in the lineup and they have the talent. It's just a matter of execution. And that's been the problem with this team since 2016. And that's why they haven't won a World Series.
Right. Our guy, Joe Maris, he just joined on Tab like a week or two ago. He left a comment. He says, Cubs have too many "it's not our night" games. I agree. They do. Like, this is one of those where it's like it's not our night, and it's like it's okay if you maybe do it, like, I guess, I don't know if once a week would add up to too many losses, but I mean, if you play well 6 out of 7 days a week, and with that one loss, or the one "it's not our night," like, it is the only loss, and I guess it's okay. It just depends on how many you're putting together. Like, a lot of people think this team is going to finish like, 80 and 82 or something like that.
Right.
A game like this, we look at the end of the year, maybe, I don't think we'll remember this game, because like I said, I don't think I'm going to remember this game in a week, but like, this is a kind of game tomorrow. Right. This is a game that, at the end of the year, you're just kind of like, you're thinking about these types of games where it's like, well, where was the offense this game? If we had the right offense together, who knows what would have happened? And with that said, there was one part of this game that kind of annoyed me. I don't know if it would have changed the game. I don't know if the Cubs would have won if it would have gone right. But Juice, it was the inning. I want to say it was the third inning. I'm doing a really bad version of Ron Luce tonight. He has like all the number, like the innings, and he goes over the scoring and everything. Every time he does this, everyone knows me. I just wing it. This is how we do things.
Well, this is usually our show too, right? I mean,
right. We
log on. I say, "Hey, Cody, all right, hit play. Let's go."
Well, there was an inning. It was the inning that David Bodie hit one to the warning track. I want to say that was the third inning. Alzolay was on deck. Didn't matter because Bodie they already had 2 outs and Bodie hit it to the warning track. It's not David Bodie's at bat. It's Javier Baez's at bat that inning. I think Jason Hayward walked right after Baez struck out. But Baez, he struck out looking, and the pitch zone said it was a ball. And I think it was big on Cubs Twitter for a good, 20 minutes. And it bothers me because, again, I don't know if the Cubs are going to come back and win the game. They were only down 3-0 at that point. But if Baez walks, that's the bases loaded, or I think it's the bases loaded. And then Jason Hayward comes up. And even if, there's either way, there's a chance where the Cubs at least get a sac fly out of that. And maybe it changes the game because you're getting Peralta a little rattled. He was not good in that inning. There were multiple pitches. And like I said, Bodie almost hit one out. The game would have completely changed. So I'm doing a really bad description of that inning.
No, but I love it. I love it. That's what we do here.
Yeah. But everyone, if you're listening and you watched the game last night, you know what he's talking about. Right. And I hate calling for robot umps because I do like the human interactive way, but these are the kinds of things that can make or break a game for a team that is already kind of struggling offensively. I know the Cubs are like last in the league in batting average, as much as 4 games doesn't fucking matter at this point, or 5 games, whatever. But they do also lead the league in walk rate. So, I mean, whatever. I don't know. It's that inning just annoyed me because it was just like we could have potentially at least got a run, maybe 2. I honestly thought they were going to walk Bodie because Alzolay was on deck, and he ended up just hanging one in the zone. Bodie mashed it, and unfortunately landed in someone's glove. There's 3 warning track balls tonight.
Yeah,
unfortunately all in gloves. So all the people saying, the offense was not good, which I agree it was not good. There were times where they looked like they knew what they were doing. It's just sometimes the ball just doesn't go your way. I don't want to be that guy because I am annoyed, but that is true sometimes. I don't know. Juice, what are your thoughts?
Going back to that at bat, I watched it in live and I thought, man, like for Javi Baez to take a pitch with the 0-2 count,
he would have walked.
Like that's that must have been really out of his zone. You know what I'm saying? So
right. And the fact that before that pitch that was a called strike for strike 3, there were multiple breaking pitches out of the zone that he laid off. And someone replied to one of the tweets on the Cubs on Tap account bitching about Javi Baez and how he's looked bad. I mean, he had a home run last night. He had a nice game on Saturday. He hasn't played great in every single game. I know he's going to strike out. That's one thing. Like, there's just no way he's never going to not strike out. You just got to hope he limits the strikeouts. You know what I mean?
Right.
And again, I thought that was a really nice at bat for him, and for the ump to just completely ruin it, fucking angers me, man.
Yeah, I go back and forth on the robot ump thing. I think eventually we're going to see that in baseball just because of the progression of most sports and in terms of instant replay. And I mean, even tennis now has they've had the Hawkeye for forever that, judges in or out. So I think eventually we'll see it. But you look back at it, did the Cubs play well enough to win this ball game? No. So at the end of the day, I mean, could you have, lucked into one and we're sitting here like, hey, that's one of those you mark in the tally column of awesome. You bought that one or you lucked into one, you found it. Yeah. But realistically, man, like they didn't deserve to win this game tonight. And I understand that, maybe maybe a foot or two here, a foot or two there from the warning track, we're looking at a different ball game. But the Brewers came ready to play. The Cubs did not, and that was kind of clear early on. And then, the frustrating night kind of spews into the ninth inning, and obviously with what happened with Willie at the end of it, it was a lot of the team showing their frustration for the night. I think a lot of those guys who flew out to the warning track really did think that they got enough of it, and it was going to fly out of the ballpark. But like you said, too many they do play too many games where you go, well, it's not their night. But I always wonder too, like, is that a matter of us being Cubs fans and we sit here and we watch every single game, and it's very similar, for Tampa Bay or for Boston or for, because we're just not watching those teams as often. Right. I'm sure with how many Bears games we've watched or how many Bulls games you've watched in the past, the same things happen where you look at it and you're like, man, my team really beat themselves, or, hey, it wasn't their night. Somebody throws up, goes 5 for 5 that you don't expect from 3-point range and really kind of separates the game that way. But with that said, they play a lot of games where it's just, they don't play well and it's just one of those nights. And with that said, I think, like, don't have that become, something of the norm. But when those do happen, it's a teaching moment. And I think the great thing and a silver lining, I thought, was, Elsley, I don't think had his best stuff, but he still ended up working through a decent part of the ball game and, kind of wearing it. And that's what happens when you're starting pitcher in the MLB. I think I remember John Lester talking about, there were a lot of days that he went out and got shelled, but there were a lot of games where, they were down 8-0 in the second or the third, and he shut it down there and was able to scratch through 6 runs to save the bullpen for tomorrow. And realistically, the Cubs, gave Kimbrel a second night off tonight by not using him, and, gave a night out for some of their high leverage guys to hopefully win a ball game tomorrow. And that's maybe a positive out of a negative of how bad they played tonight. But with that said, hey, in a game like this, you got to find something good to talk about. And that's it is what it is. But hopefully they can just go tomorrow and get a dub tomorrow.
Right. We haven't really touched on the ninth inning with Willie. You've mentioned it. I think I've mentioned it. I think I saw multiple tweets. I guess he's been hit like 6 times out of the last 11 games against the Brewers. I don't know if any of them are on purpose. They don't come off as on purpose. It's just like, if you're going to throw inside, don't hit someone. Like, you're major leaguers, man. I know it's easier said than done, but I don't blame him for getting upset when, especially last night after he basically got hit in the head. Yep. And I was at the game, which was awesome. I was glad to go to that game. And deservingly so, the entire crowd booed the Brewers off the field after that inning. And I don't blame them I don't blame the fans tonight, and I don't blame Wilson for, reacting the way he did. This isn't like we're playing the fucking Kansas City Royals, not in the division. Like, the Brewers are in a division. As much as I don't think the Cubs and the Brewers are a rivalry, because I hate to say it, I think they're kind of like the White Sox of the NL Central. Like, I don't care, but they're right up I-94, and when we play them, I kind of don't like playing them. And I like calling fucking Miller Park, whatever it is, fucking Wrigley North, because every time the fucking Brewers were selling fucking tickets at Subway, we got to go up there and help pay the fucking electricity bill for those motherfuckers. It is what it is. I don't. Every time I go up to Miller Park, it's filled with Cub fans. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that Brewer fans don't want to come support your team. I'm sorry. Juice, I'm sorry,
and I'm with you.
And again, that's just what it kind of is. Like, I don't hate the Brewers like I hate St. Louis. Like, I loathe St. Louis. Like, me and you loathe St. Louis. We wish the place would just fall off the face of the earth. I don't feel that way about the Brewers. I like going up to Milwaukee and getting cheaper tickets. You know what I mean? Like,
it's a cool town, man. It's a cool town.
Yeah. Milwaukee's nice. I like going to Milwaukee.
Cool around there. They got good beer. They got decent beer up there. They got good food scene, and No, I'm with you. But I think actually Sky is Falling regular guest. Hopefully one day, Jared Carabas actually tweeted about that. I don't know if he had a chance to see that.
I did not see that.
Yeah, tweeted a Willie or he said something along the lines of Willie's soft. And they're not throwing at him. And now
he's a big like Milwaukee guy.
Well, he's like it's like his sub team for the NL there because he's a big Boston guy. But I did see a lot of people lighting his mentions up saying, dude, this is the 6th time they've hit him in 11 games. And, that's a second, in a back-to-back scenario. But I thought that Demp or I don't know if it was Demp or JD put it like, if you can't control it, you don't pitch inside, and that's right. But with that said, I mean, I understand as a pitcher, all these guys are with these launch angles are diving over home plate. They got to bust them in. And that one just seemed to get away from him. But I said it earlier. I think it was just a microcosm of the frustration of the night.
For sure.
It's a lot of,
and that's why like there were no punches thrown. Like Willie yelled at the pitcher who was probably just scared at that moment because like he wouldn't know why. Because I don't even think he pitched yesterday, and he probably doesn't know how many times they've hit Wilson Contreras in the last 11 games. Right. Like I think it. I've always said this about Wilson Contreras. He's a guy that if he's on your team, you fucking love. You will fucking get up for that guy because the passion he shows on the field, you love that. Like he's kind of like I always say that shit about like Joakim Noah when he was on the Bulls. Like he was just like all passion, all heart, like put a chip on his shoulder, wanted to go out and just beat you. And again, same thing about Joakim Noah. If he's on your team, you love him. If he's not, you probably hate him. Like Wilson Contreras is like a not nearly as bad version of Yadier Molina on the Cubs. Like Yadier Molina is one of the most hated guys around the league, at least from people who hate the Cardinals, and people who hate the Cubs probably really hate Wilson Contreras. And it just is what it is. If that's a bad comparison, I apologize, but at the same time, I don't, because it's just like, to me, it just seems kind of comparable because both players are very similar in terms of like how passionate they are. And that's why Yadi's always in the middle of the shit when he's protecting his teammates and shit like that, or whatever you want to fucking call it. And, they both play with similar passion. And that's like, if you don't like the team that he's on, then it might rub you the wrong way. So.
Yeah, I think that in a lot of ways for this squad, you talk about Anthony Rizzo being, the captain. Willie, in a lot of ways, I think is the heartbeat. When Willie's going good, and a lot of times we saw it in 17, and you saw it in 16 when he came up, really jolted this team. He ends up being, that adrenaline rush for those guys. Because, I understand Javi plays with a lot of passion and but at the end of the day, like Javi's a cool cat. He's really, he's smooth. That's his game, and Chris is the quiet type, and Anthony is the jokester, captain, the guy who kind of settles everybody. But if you really kind of look at the dugout, they don't really have a guy like Wilson Contreras who, each day brings it, each, at bat plays with, tenacity and the firepower that, he has, behind the plate with the snap throws down to the bases and, with the bat flips too. And getting guys up clapping when he gets on base. And I think
like I said, the passion, that's why people like Cub fans love Contreras. Like, that's why I like Contreras. These are professional athletes, and you can tell the ones who like really care, and you can tell the ones who just kind of go out there, just go about their business and, whether and try to collect the check, you know what I mean? And just try to, perform, but they don't play with the kind of passion that fans want to see. And I'm not saying that every guy needs, or every athlete needs to be like as passionate as Wilson Contreras, but like just those types of players are just, for fans, they hit different. There's something that you're proud to watch that guy. You're proud to support that player. You want to go buy that player's jersey. You want to cheer for that guy. So again, I don't know. I think that entire situation, like you said, was just based off of frustration from the night, and he's kind of struggled out the gates. I know he had a home run yesterday, but he didn't. I think that home run was his first hit of the year, and then he didn't have a hit tonight. So he struggled out the gates. I'm not worried about him. I think he's gonna be fine. He struggled out the gates the beginning of last season, those 60 games, but kind of turned it on in September. Thankfully, we got more than 60 games this year, so I have hope he's going to figure it out, and so I don't have really much else. Yeah, I don't really.
No,
have much
I really don't
game.
either. I mean, really, when you look at it, this is one of those games I'm surprised that we were able to talk 30 minutes on.
Yeah, we've reached 30 minutes to talk about this. I'm actually surprised, man.
that's what happens when you got good company, you got some development, some things you could really start to dive deep into. I know that me and you are a big fan of the rabbit holes and overanalyzing this Cubs team, and I think we've kind of circled the wagons on this game, and I think next move is to just preview tomorrow.
Yeah. Also, before we move on to the next game, fucking Jock Peterson. I really want to hate that I took a grain of salt from his spring, because he's really so good in the spring. Been absolutely horrific so far to start the year, and then he tried to bunt for a hit in the 7th inning, down 4-0. He literally pops the bunt up to like foul territory. Catcher almost drops it, but either way, it's just like, what are we doing, bro? What are we doing? So I don't want to really talk too much about it, but I'm just saying, like, if there's anyone to really bitch about tonight, I think it's Jock Peterson. That was bad.
Yeah, he hasn't looked too good to start the season, but with that said, I think previewing next game, May silver lining.
Yeah, let's do it. Tomorrow, the Cubs in the rubber match, I got Kyle Hendricks. They go up against Brandon Woodruff, the Brewers' #1 starter. I'm looking at everything on MLB.com right now. Obviously, Hendricks, he's coming off a bad opening day start. Me and Ron talked about it. It was a cold day. We went like 3 innings, gave up 3 runs, 4 hits, 3 walks, and 4 strikeouts. But I think, let's see, it says last year he had a 1.08 with 16 strikeouts, no walks, and 16 2/3 innings against Milwaukee last season. I know I don't like to take a lot of things from 2020 seriously, but that's pretty fucking good, Juice. So we got that, and then Brandon Woodruff, kind of similar to Hendricks. He had a rough first outing against, I think it was the Twins. I guess 50 of his 78 pitches on opening day were strikes, but he didn't really have a lot of command. I don't know. He has I think the Brewers, I think that it was a wild first game for them, and the Twins, they ended up in a walk-off or whatever. I think Milwaukee ended up taking that game, but he has a 6.75 ERA going into this game tomorrow, so I don't have the numbers, the full numbers from his start, but it was not the greatest. So, but he is very good. The Cubs have struggled against him before. So yeah, I'm looking for Kyle to bounce back. I think it's possible. I think it's going to be a lot warmer, so hopefully he's gets that velo up from 84 to like 89. That'd be nice.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Thoughts on this pitching matchup tomorrow, man?
Well, like you said, you're looking at 2 bounce-back guys, candidates for their poor opening day starts. I do think, like every game early on in the year, when it's tough to score runs, first one to score runs in April usually seems to pull these games out because the pitching is just so far ahead of the hitting always early on in the season. But, I think, going into tomorrow, I think the Cubs probably, if they wanted, the Cubs right now are probably sitting in their locker room, which they played this game right now. I know it's 10:30, but after that performance, they're probably chomping at the bit to get to the ballpark tomorrow to, revenge, tonight's loss. But it'll be interesting to see. I've obviously touched on Kyle Hendricks. A lot of that just ends up being a matter of having the changeup or not having the changeup and having the extra velocity on his pitches, but he's going to pitch in far better conditions than he did on opening day, which is great. It's great to see. Hopefully this is more of a Kyle Hendricks that we've seen normally. And he's usually really solid, like you said, against the Brewers. So hopefully he can just, keep him in the ballpark, keep the run scoring for the opposing team, down. And the Cubs can maybe get back to moving the ball around and and doing some good things on the base pass. They didn't have a lot of runners tonight, so they really didn't have the opportunity to take extra bases. But an early thing that me and Ron Luce talked about last night was, the fact that the Cubs are being more aggressive, I think, in that realm. They're really starting to take extra bases and actually get some runners in movement, which I think is something that they've kind of lacked for a while. And, excited to see tomorrow's game. I know I'll actually be in the car listening to this one, so it'll be my first Pat Hughes experience of the season. And unfortunately, because I'm traveling, I will have to listen to the entire game in the car. But with that said, who better to listen to than Pat while driving around and doing the day job? So it'll be
not a bad way.
Yeah, hopefully the Cubs get a dub though. It'd be nice.
Yeah, well, I will say good luck during the 5th inning. I can't stand Zach Zaidman.
That's. I'll try to plan my lunch or walk into an account during that time. Maybe I don't know, but if I'll deal with Zach if it means they're putting a crooked number up in the 5th. Then
right. I will say I'm looking at the numbers for the Cubs against Woodruff, and it's not good. Like I said, he's been good against the Cubs. Chris Bryant has a 154 batting average against him and 13 at bats. Contreras 125 with 8 at bats.
I know. Don't take my fly the W player yet. You haven't said him yet.
All right. Well, there's one guy who's done okay in 3 chances.
God, you're gonna take him, aren't you?
I won't say it. I'll let you.
I know. I was doing my homework, man.
Yeah, all right. I'll say the Brewers ones if that'll make you feel better. I'll just say to sum up to sum up.
Go ahead.
Okay. To sum up the Cubs. Tomorrow's lineup, historically, they have not hit well against Brandon Woodruff. I'll say that. As far as Milwaukee against Kyle Hendricks, a lot of the same. Christian Yelich, he's batting 192 against Kyle Hendricks in 26 at bats. He does have a home run against him, but 192 for him is obviously not good. Let's see other names. I'm looking at. Let's see. Omar Narvaez has killed us these first 2 games. He's got nothing in 11 at bats against Kyle Hendricks. Lorenzo Cain, 21 at bats, batting 230. I don't think he hasn't played this series. I don't know if he's hurt or not. But
yeah, well, he's old.
That's a lot of it too. Yeah. So all in all, honestly, if you want a real prediction for me for tomorrow, bet the under. I think that's a good idea. The good idea is
hashtag on tap bets.
Yeah, hashtag on tap bets. Go follow us on Twitter at on tap bets. I think the under is a good play tomorrow. But yeah, man. I think my thoughts on tomorrow, real quick. Like we kind of said, Kyle Hendricks on the mound, bounce back. That's what I'm hoping for. If the Cubs win tomorrow, we forget about tonight's game in full, and I think we go on the road with what would it be? We're 3-2. We'd go on the road with a 4-2 homestand. I think that's a good way to start the year. I think the Cubs wins, they've scored early, and I think that's just been the blueprint of every freaking season. So again, the tale as old as time. Just score early. Let your defense back up Kyle Hendricks. No walks. I know Hendricks, he's not a guy who walks guys. Opening day, he walked like 4 or 5 guys. So I'm hoping, he gets back to, 1 or 2 walks a game, even less than that, to be honest with you, on most of his starts from last year and even before that. So I think that's key for him, is just not walk anyone. I think that's key in general for the Cubs in every game, is just like when they keep the walks down, they're always in it. So that's kind of my 2 cents on that, man. So before we end this, let's get to our flat of W picks. Everyone knows mine's Andrew fucking Chafin. Andrew fucking Chafin didn't deserve to have to, it would have been an insult to bring him into tonight's game. That stash, if there's a reason to bring him in, it was just for the fans to just applaud him and bow down to him as he ran from the bullpen to the mound, just to give him a nice standing ovation for 5 minutes, so we can then call ourselves the best fans in baseball, like people in St. Louis like to do, just for giving standing ovations for 2 minutes. But
I'm just picturing him run from the bullpen and then getting to the mound, and then they're just being the umpire placing the ball there, obviously for the next pitcher. Him just bending over, slowly picking it up, and then Carlos Zambranoing that ball to the outfield stands.
Yeah,
and then he just double birds his way out as he flicks everybody off and walks into the clubhouse to call today.
Exactly.
That would have been. I honestly probably wouldn't have forgot one out in this game if that would have happened at some point in tonight's game. It would have been just epic. It would have been something that I could laugh at, and it would be
one day.
It would be the ultimate GIF too, as well. For
yes,
it really would. Yes. But with that said, you're really gonna go with Andrew Chafin for tomorrow?
Yeah,
okay,
he's my Fly W pick for every game this year. If the Cubs trade him at any point, it's going to be tough to figure out who my Fly W player pick is. It's Andrew Chafin every day. I think that's
like the Chuck Norris, it's the Chuck Norris. What do you call it? Like cheat though, right? I mean. Yeah. Like, what was the joke? Rock, paper, scissors, Chuck Norris, and it beats everything. So, I mean, regardless if the guy hit 4 home runs, and me or Ron or Joe picked him, I think you still win no matter what. I think honestly, we should just keep tallying you with Andrew Chafin for each game, and at 162, you'll close us out. Probably before the All-Star break, and then we can just stop making our picks because.
I mean, he got me some decent picks some decent points last night. 4 strikeouts and 1 in a third inning.
He did. Really solid.
And then he didn't lose me points. I don't know if we take points away if someone's bad, but because I don't know the system.
No, but we should start doing that.
Yeah, right.
Like you golden sombrero for a night, you deserve to have a point taken away. I think that's the.
Oh boy!
Or if you were to pick, Jake Arrieta and he only gets through 2/3, that's a total whiff. So
yeah.
If you're going with Andrew Chafin, I'm going to go with the guy who has 2 home runs against Brandon Woodruff, who's struggling, who desperately needs a hit as a first hit as a Cub, and that's Jock Peterson. 3 for 3, 2 home runs. Let's hope tonight or tomorrow night or tomorrow afternoon. My mistake on that.
Yeah,
he can get into one and get off the snide because I do feel like he's going to be a huge part of this team and their success if they have a deep run in this division to contend for it. And I know he's had some really brutal at bats to watch, but I do like that. He does a lot of things well that Kyle Schwarber didn't do well at the plate. Kyle was kind of home run or bust a lot of times. I do think the Jock approach of the sac fly stuff he's done early on and moving some runners has been a breath of fresh air, kind of swallowing the pride when he knows that he gets down 0-2. And his at bat's been pretty brutal though. So I'm going strictly on history here. And for all I know, that game he could have just had two home runs because it is 3 at bats, and so but Jock, he's due, man. He's due. So I'm gonna go with Jock.
Right, and I like this pick because I think the Cubs offense could really use the boost, man. We've seen some good things out of KB, we've seen some nice things out of Javi. Obviously, not every single game, but you can't expect that even out of your star players. You're expecting. Just consistency out of the entire team, because it's baseball. Not everyone's going to, go 3 for 4 every night. You know what I mean? But if they work a walk or, get a hit or here or whatever, make nice defensive play, whatever, they have to make an impact in the game. That's who your star players are. Right. And it's not just with hitting, but Jock, basically being in Schwarber's role, man, when in 19, when Schwarber and Nick Castellanos were the only ones hitting, who knows what would have happened if the rest of the team was hitting as well. So I think that Jock, if he starts producing, that gives this team a different outlier, and that will shut up the naysayers again, because Again, we just haven't seen it yet, but we've also played 5 games. I'm not saying that Jock Peterson's a bust. Like I said at the beginning of the show, basically saying that like I was taking spring with a grain of salt. He's looked pretty bad. You know what I mean? So yeah, no, I like it. I hope he hits 4 tanks tomorrow. 4 for 4, 4 tanks, and just a big giant fuck you to Christian Yelich on their way out. So
Andrew Traven comes in, closes it out.
All right, guys. Juice, this has been fun, man. We're gonna do more of these down this entire season. We'll do some more. So I'm gonna try and do my best Ron Luce impression one more time here. Everyone, head on over to ontapsportsnet.com. Get all your Chicago sports needs. You can follow me on Twitter at Cody on Tap. You can follow Juice at Juice on Tap. It's so fucking original with our Twitter handles. I swear to God, the branding is so great. You can follow On Tap Sportsnet on Twitter, literally just On Tap Sportsnet. We're live on Facebook, YouTube. Go follow us over there, and on Twitter at Cubbies on Tap. If you're listening to the live show and you missed some of it, it's going to be up in podcast form soon. If you're listening on podcast, thanks for listening. Make sure to leave a 5-star review. If you haven't, make sure to, in your review, talk about how awesome it is or how awesome Andrew Chafin is, because I would really appreciate that. So
that's what we should have. All of our comments should be nothing about the podcast and everything about Andrew Chafin, because this is the Andrew Chafin pod. One of these days, we're just going to change the whole background. We're going to have a giant picture with him as the stash, and it's not going to be Cubs on Tap live. It's going to be Andrew Chafin on Tap live.
I mean, we'll just DM or tag him in the tweet and be like, "Hey, here's the link. Join us."
He is the ultimate guest. I don't care.
He's the ultimate guest.
I don't care what goes on from here till we stop doing these or make it huge. We may just have a weekly appearance from Andrew Chafin. That would be my dream. I don't care if we end up, making millions off of this or whatever. I just want to hang out with Andrew Chafin for
that'd be great.
Every day. Like maybe we could buy like houses in the same cul-de-sac. Our kids can play together, go to barbecues.
Yep. Crack some cold ones with them. Yeah.
Like, they announced that they're going to do a statue for Fergie Jenkins.
They did. We didn't even talk about that.
I know,
but that's awesome.
But what a shame it is that there's no statue for Andrew Chafin yet.
It's a damn shame. They should put it right next to Ernie Banks, bro.
Right in front.
in front of it.
Right in front of it. Just blocking it. And on the bottom, you know how it says Mr. Cub on there? It just says Mr. Chafin.
Or I know a lot of people like to call him the sheriff. You could just put Mr. Chafin, a.k.a. the sheriff. I'd be okay with that. All right, guys.
For it, man.
For sure. Juice, this was fun, man. We've kind of made fun of this entire game tonight and everything moving forward. So I hope everyone listening, I hope we at least make you feel a little bit better. We'll be back tomorrow. I don't know if we'll be live, but we'll be back tomorrow after Wednesday's game with another post game. So with that said, Juice, as Ron likes to say at the end of these shows, let's go Cubs.
Let's go Cubs. Cardinals suck.
Yeah, fuck the Cardinals.